Good evening.
Oh, Paul, did you buy a MacBook yet?
I have not. Have you?
No.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, proud of you too. I feel like that's going to be the opening question until both of us actually do it. What do you got going on? You're feeling better, I take it.
I'm feeling much better. It's just work is very busy right now.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
Just lots of stuff to do.
Okay,
Lots
that's
of
a
stuff
good
to
thing.
do. Yeah,
That's a good thing.
Rather be looking at work than looking for it. But, whew, yeah. But
Gotcha.
yeah, just busy. I'm just exhausted.
Okay.
How about you?
Much the same. Getting really, really busy, getting involved in a lot of different things these days. Yeah, it's good. It's good to keep me busy, and I'm liking it. So, what more could you ask for? Yeah. So Doc's a little thin this week, but there are a couple things that I do want to talk about. Do we have any follow up before we roll?
I was practically yelled at for not liking Snoopy the other day.
By whom?
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus.
Okay.
She was very adamant that I was wrong. Very, very adamant that I was wrong.
I tried to warn you.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's just that. So apparently I'm a big dumb head, and Snoopy and Peanuts is the greatest thing in the world, and I'm just too dumb to see it. So
yeah, you were you made the mistake of yucking somebody's yum.
I did. It's just I'm gonna double down. It's still not for me, but everyone, if you like it, good for you.
That's not doubling down. Doubling down would be like, if you like that, you're a Nazi, and like that would be doubling down.
Whoa, no. Okay, you know what? It's not funny, and if you like it, you're wrong. How about that?
Okay, I feel like that's a pretty good middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any follow up either, other than I need to say that we are not so much a Post-it note household anymore. We are a boogie board household, which is
what is a boogie board?
It's an Etch-a-Sketch for this generation. It's a it's
okay.
It's no, literally. It is a small tablet which I think is technically backlit, and it's got like a little stylus, and you press on it and it makes words. So it's basically a chalkboard that is really bad for the planet. Yeah. So yeah, we're that. We're that.
I will put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, boogie board. You may want to show Jennifer that. Maybe that would get you out of your Post-it note hell. I don't know.
I'm just afraid that this would end up in the middle of her windshield as well. So,
okay. Well, it'd be really hard to drive with that in the middle of your windshield.
Oh, so I see. You can draw on it, and then you push the button, and it disappears.
Right.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And I don't think they're terribly expensive.
No.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Seem to be. Okay. All right. Maybe this is an idea.
Yeah. There you go. I did it good.
Okay.
Speaking of things that I don't need, I now live in a multi-dingus household. So I'm calling them dinguses because if you're listening to this podcast on speakers, I don't want to speak their names because they'll start chirping. But we were primarily a Lady in the Tube household for as long as I can remember. But I got an interesting email from Spotify that they were giving away free Google Homes.
Yes.
I don't know if you also got that email.
I did, but I did not take part in the offer.
Yeah, I did it. I mean, I figure what the heck.
Okay.
So a couple impressions here. So like I said, we are a Lady in the Tube household. Think about that one. If you don't quite get it right away, think about it for a minute.
The Lady in the Tube provided by the Amazon Corporation?
Yes, there you go.
There we go.
So we are primarily a Lady in the Tube household, and we use her for a lot of different things, from simple stuff like setting timers. I've got all my home automation tied into her, like my Nest and my Ring and my outside lights and a bunch of other different things. Even my downstairs lighting for like my computer desk is all tied into her. We use different apps on her. We play the question of the day every night. It's really fun. So but if I'm being honest though, like the Lady in the Tube is not especially aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Yeah.
The main tube lady takes up considerable girth on whatever surface you put her on. And, it just kind of sits in our kitchen. And then we also have a couple secondary ladies laying around the house. Like downstairs, I've got one of the little pucks, the Echoes, right? Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have one that is a combination clock / dingus in the bedroom. It's also, it's like our alarm clock, and we talk to it and ask it things. And it's worked out really well for us. So, I feel like I'm cheating on her by getting the Google device. But, I've used it for about 3 days now, and it's not bad. It's way more aggressive with trying to, like, barge its way in and, like, throw elbows to get to your data.
I can understand that. It's Google, so.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, so apples to apples, right? So whenever you set up your Lady in the Tube, you have to download an app for your phone, to set it up and have it join your network and all that stuff. And, you have to have an Amazon account so it knows about your shopping habits and what you browse and all that stuff. But unless you specifically go out and tell it like, hey, I've got a Nest, or hey, I've got a Ring, it really doesn't care. Like it's kind of, I don't want to call it dumb, but it's kind of just not as integrated with everything you might already have. Like you have to go tell it like, hey, I've got this thing and I've got this account and I do this, and then you tie all that together. And of course, like the thing you're talking about has to be supported. You know what I mean? Like not everything is supported with the Lady in the Tube. The Google experience, on the other hand, is you also download an app to your device, and then like after you sign in with your Google account and you have the thing join your Wi-Fi network, it's like, hey, I see you use Spotify. We should log into that. Hey, I see you use Nest. We should log into that. Hey, I see you.
Okay.
Right. It really comes at you pretty hard. So there was a lot of, no, you don't need Bluetooth. No, you don't need this. No, you don't need that. Nope, definitely don't need that. Sorry, Google. But yeah. But having said all that, so it's a little charcoal gray speaker with some LEDs like tastefully hidden behind the gray felt of the speaker, or the gray fabric of the speaker. The one thing I really like about the Google device is that it has a physical like switch for the microphone to be on or off.
Okay.
So if you really want to be safe, like you could just toggle that hardware switch, which I really like. And it actually has pretty good sound quality. I set it on my office desk because technically we do have a dingus in the living room, because my Sonos bar can also act as a Lady in the Tube receptacle. Sorry. And
words are hard.
Yeah, words are hard. So it's actually got a pretty decent speaker in it. So I was sitting at my desk today, and I just didn't want to wear my headphones or my AirPods. So I was like, okay, thing.
Ahoy, dingus.
Yeah, ahoy, dingus. Play, Spotify or whatever, and play this playlist, and it did it, and it didn't sound terrible. I turned the volume down on it by telling it to turn down the volume, 3 or 4 times, and it was just nice little soft music playing on my desk. The speaker quality was pretty good. That's pretty much all I use it for right now. Like I said, all the home automation in this house is done by the Lady in the Tube, but so far so good. It's interesting. I haven't gotten any others, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am also a Amazon dingus primary household. I don't have any other devices than that, but I have a device in my office, in the kitchen, upstairs, kind of in our loft area. My daughter has one, because she likes using it to check the weather in the morning and stuff. And I don't have a whole lot of automation tied into it. Primarily, I just use it to control my thermostat. And I also use it to, when I do like Halloween lights or Christmas lights, I have a smart switch that I kind of plug on my porch.
Yeah, so my big project over the summer was I basically installed a new porch light and 3 floodlights in the front of my house, like one on each side of my garage, and then one like kind of shining onto my chimney.
Okay.
Very tasteful, very soft. They're LEDs. They're not huge energy consumers. And what I did is I bought a smart switch for my hallway that controls the outside light. So I got that tied into it. And then I have 2 smart plugs that are Wi-Fi enabled. So when I tell her, hey, turn on the outside lights, she knows to turn on the porch light and turn on the 2 smart switches. So I basically have 2 landscape boxes. I could have just gotten down to 1, but that would require me to somehow like fish a wire under my driveway.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Or I could have gotten a really long cable and like ran it all the way around my garage, but no, I'm not. I was like, you know what? I'll just buy another one of these boxes and another one of those switches. Now, having said that, the way that my house is laid out, the right side LED floodlight on my garage sometimes loses Wi-Fi connectivity. So like that light won't come on as much. So I need to get some kind of signal boost.
You should get a mesh wireless network.
No, my network.
You should. No.
My network is set up just the way I like it right now.
No, you should get one.
Okay, so sell me on it.
I have Wi-Fi everywhere in my house, everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, but hang on a second.
I love it. It's fast. It works spectacular.
But you know me. I mean, I've got the home lab, and I've got my Pi-hole, and I've got all that stuff kind of wired up. You're telling me I could just plug in the mesh network? Is there like a base device that has Ethernet connectivity somewhere that I can plug all this into?
Yeah, like all of them, you can either. Most of them work by either you can take the 2 access points and connect them with Ethernet, or you can just have one that's hooked up, that's hooked up to your whatever your modem is of choice. Then put the other one anywhere in your house, and they kind of uses a separate kind of secret channel to communicate between each other, and they work pretty freaking well.
So what brand did you go with? Because I know everybody loses their stuff for Ubiquiti, which I find
use
is just
Eero.
Horrendously overpriced for what it is. I mean, do you have one that you use?
Mostly because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it was a very aggressive advertiser. All of the podcasts I listen to, and mostly I got it because it is it was very easy to set up. Now I do have an Eero horror story I will share with you. So Eero, most of the time, you have some sort of wireless router, and you can plug in its IP address and get like a web interface, right? And you can do stuff to it. The Eeros don't work like that. They have an app. And for some strange reason, I don't know, I don't understand why they made this decision. To use the Eero app, it has to have internet connection. It just has to. Okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now, no, I think like the Orbi by Netgear
I'm already out
good.
on this.
They don't have this problem.
This.
But the story's going to be a little nerdy for people that aren't super geeky. But it was truly horrific. So recently, I don't know, maybe about a month ago, I switched internet providers. I finally got rid of Spectrum, and I went to IntelliWave. They do rural fiber. I love them. They're a great company. They work spectacular. Well, I have a Synology at home that I use for like Plex and for like a little private VPN. And I was trying to set up port forwarding so I could hit that stuff from externally, and just nothing was working. So I finally, it can't be me. It has to be them, right? Like I know everything I'm doing is right, and I just cannot get this device available outside of my house. So I put in a ticket with IntelliWave. They're like, well, if you want to do that, you really have to pay an extra $10 a month to have a static IP, and then we'll put your IP available, on the public so you can reach it. I was like, you know what? That's fine. I would gladly do that. So the technician calls me. Well, no, it was weird. I had the support rep on the phone. The technician was talking to him, and he was and the support rep was talking to me on the phone. So it's kind of this game of telephone. So first he's like, well, do you understand what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, I understand what I'm doing. He goes, well, what I need you to do is go into your device and set the static IP address. We're going to give you a static IP address. Put this information in. So I'm doing that in my Eero, and I hit save, and then the technician goes, oh, wait, no, I don't want you to do that. Just leave it on, DHCP, and you can get the IP address from the network. Well, by that point, I already put in the static IP address into my Eero, hit save, and I no longer had an internet connection. And then I can no longer use my app. Yeah, and So I was like, oh, great. What do I do? Well, then, so what I ended up having to do was, getting the right dongle, plugging my computer directly into my, I don't know what they're called. It's the magical box that turns a fiber optic cable into a Ethernet cable. I don't know what they're called. It's not quite a modem, but it's some sort of magical device. I plugged directly into that, and then started going through the Eero help documentation of, I just did something horrible. How do I basically reset my Eero and start over? And I was able to actually get it in some sort of mode where I think I was connected to it via Bluetooth. I don't know. It was magical. It kind of, or it like reset its network settings and just started working. But there was a real tense 20 minutes in the Baylor household where I didn't have internet connectivity. But other than that horror story, it works really great. One of the features that I kind of like about it is through the app, I can see like all the devices on my network, and then I can put them on individual profiles. So, for instance, like all of my kids' devices are on a profile of their name, and if they make me mad with one button, I can just turn off the internet for all their devices. I do not have to do it very often.
Oh, you're that dad.
Sometimes when they make bad decisions, mostly my son. But I've heard really good things about the Netgear Orbi, which is Netgear's version of that. They look a little ugly. I'm reason I kind of like the Eeros is they have a very good Apple-y design, design sensibility. But I've heard really good things about the Orbi. They've got good performance. They've got, all the things, if you're a super user, all of the right, knobs and switches you would expect to be able to tweak with your network. Good range, very competitive pricing. So I think if I had to do it all over again, I would go with the Orbi system. But yeah, I'm going to put another link to that in the docs.
Yeah, I have friends that really swear by the Ubiquiti gear, but I just don't want to pay that money for that. I guess maybe if I had a bigger house and I needed more coverage, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, those are the things that, Ubiquiti kind of, it's more prosumer, small business focused, So
that's kind of how I view it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I also know people too that use Ubiquiti. Of course, they're like network and system engineers, and swear by them. But, one of the reasons I like the Eero is it's literally just like plug them in and turn them on, and you're done. Yeah, it just works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah, I don't know. I've looked at the whole mesh networking thing, and I just haven't. I don't know. I guess I haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet. Maybe soon. Yeah. Man, now you make me want to get a mesh network.
You should do it. I think there's another one, mesh.
All right, hang on a second. All right, you got me. You got me. Hold on. We're gonna do some riveting radio here. We're gonna go to the Micro Center website real quick.
Okay, do it.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Google has one. Netgear, TP-Link Deco. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to put.
So wait a second.
Google in charge of my Wi-Fi.
You said Netgear's pretty good, right?
Netgear Orbi, yeah.
Okay, so all right, I'm looking at the Netgear Orbi. So that's the stuff. So Netgear. I'm just looking at Micro Center because it's so close to the house, and if I want it, I can go get it tomorrow. Okay, so the Netgear Orbi 220 tri-band wireless system. So it looks like it's some kind of base unit that looks like a vaporizer.
It does. Yep.
And then two things you plug into the outlets.
Yep. So you can get they have that one as well, and they also have the that's refurbished. Who wants refurbished? Pfft. Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, so they have one with the built-in lady.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But that's $470. I don't want that.
Yeah. Okay, so here, right, Orbi Pro
Orbi Pro tri-band Wi-Fi system. That's $688.
Yeah, but you don't need all. Yeah.
Why? But why? Yeah, but wait a minute though. It's literally just 2 devices for $700. That seems outrageous.
Oh, the Orb. I've never seen the Orbi Pros. What are the?
Yeah, what
I don't know what those
here?
are.
What makes this?
What
so
are the
good?
Orbi?
You did that. You did this. You told me to look.
I'm sorry. So what is the Orbi Pro? Hold on. This is riveting audio here as we go to different websites to figure out Netgear. Oh no.
Tell me why I would spend literally almost 50%. This system enables 3 predefined distinct Wi-Fi networks: the administrative network for business connectivity, the employee network.
You don't
for
need
internet access,
you don't need the Orbi Pro. Ugh, you don't need that. You don't need that for your house. You don't. Unless you want to be super nerd. Here.
But now I can't unsee the Pro.
Okay, but here. This is what I would get right here. I'd probably get 3 of them because my house is. I know it says covers 5,000 square feet. Here, I'm gonna put this into the dock so you can see it and click on it because this is easier. This is easier than sending it in a message right there. That one right there. It is the Netgear. Again, this is a really good SEO optimized Amazon title. Netgear Orbi tri-band whole home mesh Wi-Fi system with 3 gigabits per second speed. RBK50 router and extender replacement, covers up to 5,000 square foot. 2-pack includes 1 router, 1 satellite.
So I'm just going to come out and say it. I really don't know much about wireless networking. So if I have the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz in the house, what is this?
They usually do both. So like I know my Eero has it does the thing where it only broadcasts one ID, one SSID, one name. And then it just uses a steering to get, if a device is getting a good reception and can do 5 gigahertz, it uses that. And for some reason, like if I'm out in my like driveway or whatever, I know 2.4 goes a little bit further, so it automatically switches for me. And the beautiful thing about these is you don't have to run an Ethernet cable between them. You just set up one, connect it with Ethernet, get it on your network, then put the other one kind of, you don't want to put it all the way in the dead zone, but kind of in between there in your dead zone, and it would cover it perfectly.
Yes. So I'm looking at this. And it looks like this one, which is $220 on Amazon at the moment. It offers the 3 gigabits per second speed, and it's $220. But then when you go up to the ultra,
yeah, but do you really need the ultra performance? Like, if you really,
yes, Paul. If you have to,
if you want that high, that ultra performance, that's what Ethernet's for,
So I'm looking at the Eero.
The
Eero 3.
Yeah, the nice thing about Orbi, which I really enjoy, is they have an extender that's designed to go outside. So it's waterproof outside.
Yeah, but I'm an avid indoorsman.
Yeah, but I am too. But it would be nice to have, eventually when I get a patio or a deck or something. But the Eero 3-pack. Now, see, they came out with a new one, the new thicker boys. I have the older one, like the Eero Pro. And I have 3 of those through my house. I have one in my living room right underneath the television, which happens to be where my internet comes in. One in my office because I'm a nerd, and one upstairs. And it, I never have anyone complain about not being able to connect to Wi-Fi. So it's something to look into. You have to do some research because you have to pick the product that's right for you. Like I said, I've heard really good things about the management for not Ubiquity, the Orbis. Yeah.
Well, I guess I know what I'm buying this weekend.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome. But now we can talk about it next week. I'm actually preemptive follow up.
This isn't what I envisioned. This isn't how I thought this would go. This is not what I thought would happen.
Well, you shouldn't have admitted to having a dead spot in your Wi-Fi. That's your fault. Of course I'm going to pounce on that. Yeah, so whose fault is it now?
I did it. Okay. Yeah, I actually see you updating the document right now. Boy, the shame is real. Oh, man. Man, that little pink Paul Baylor cursor is just bouncing all around this dock. Are we done shaming me? Can we move on?
I think we should move on. Yes.
Okay. Now I feel really bad. Okay, so continuing the Drew is technically challenged theme of this podcast. I want to talk about optical storage in 2019.
Okay. No, see, yeah. I know why I have an optical drive connected to my computer.
Why do you have an optical drive, Paul?
Well, okay, so I have a very, very old external Blu-ray drive. I think it actually is also a Blu-ray writer, but guess how many Blu-rays I've actually made with it?
Yeah, about the same as me.
Yeah, 0. It's exactly 0. Its primary function in life. Well, actually, not primary. Its only function in life is ripping movies.
Okay.
I don't buy a lot of physical media anymore, but I used to. And I am slowly in the process of ripping all of those and putting them on my Plex server, so I can just put all of the discs in a box in the basement and then never see them again.
Yeah, so I'm in the exact same boat here. So we used to have quite the DVD and Blu-ray collection in the house, and we went through a pretty big purge about 2 years ago where we just said, you know what, we're taking all these DVDs and just taking them to half-price books and seeing what we can get. And we didn't do too bad. I think we made out with like $80 or something because we had just had a crap ton of DVDs. We kept all our Blu-rays, and we did like accidentally keep a few DVDs that weren't like with the other DVDs, but they were the DVDs we liked, so we didn't really care. So I went through a very similar exercise, right? I build my own computer, and if you've ever bought a computer case in the last, 3 or 4 years, you know that there just aren't 5 1/4 inch bays in the front anymore. They're all replaced with tempered glass and fans you can see that have cool LEDs, and like you just can't mount a DVD or CD drive in your computer anymore. And like laptops don't come with CD drives anymore for the most part that I'm aware of.
No, not many.
Yeah. So I too have a LG external Blu-ray disc that
mine is also an LG. Huh.
Is it like really skinny? Is it a skinny boy?
Oh no. It's a big chunky boy.
Okay, mine's a little skinny boy. And it connects via, some ungodly USB connection to my computer. And, I have used a few various programs to acquire digital copies of my media. But, and this is where this became a topic, is there are certain discs that I cannot copy. I don't know why.
Okay.
So I have 4 of them here in front of me. The first is my director's cut of JFK. That will not copy at all. Like the drive recognizes there's a DVD in it, but it just will not copy. And I don't know why, but I also have problems with 2 Blu-rays that have a very similar problem. One is my director's cut of THX 1138, which is a super weird movie. And then The Expendables 2. And then my wife's copy of Twilight will also not rip. So I was getting frustrated. I tried a few different things, and if you start going down the rabbit hole of people who copy media for a living, and we should say that this is for home use only. It's interesting that it's interesting, what people will do to DVD and CD and Blu-ray drives to get them to like perform better. But the problem is that all those hacks that make it so you can get to some of this stuff and do some of this advanced decoding basically requires DVD burners or drives or whatever that are wired directly into like your SATA system. It doesn't look like there's ways to do this to external drives. So I decided to go to Micro Center, and I bought this is a sign of the times too, right? You walk in the Micro Center and you walk over like where the build your own PC stuff is, and they have Blu-ray drives just kind of like loose.
just hanging about,
just laying around, right? They're wrapped in plastic, sort of, So like I bought one again, an LG.
Okay.
And I got it home, and again, my computer doesn't have a 5.25-inch bay in it.
So now this purchase is designed to go inside, like. Okay. So how did you finagle this?
So I basically connected a SATA cable and a power cable, took the side of my case off, and just set the drive on my desk. But it didn't work.
Okay,
right?
Didn't work.
So
okay.
Yeah. So I maybe I'm dumb, but it didn't work. So the reason was, like I plugged it all in, and like the computer booted up, no problems. But then I would hit the power button, and like the light would blink as it usually does before it ejects, but then it just wouldn't eject. And I could have sworn that I heard like a pop when I turned on the computer with this thing plugged in. So I thought maybe I zapped it somehow. I don't know. So I took it back to Micro Center and I said, this is broke. And they said, okay. And they gave me my money back. And then I bought a boxed, they only sell one other DVD drive that isn't like bulk, like package. It's an Asus model, 5.25-inch DVD burner. I hooked it up the same thing. This one did the exact same thing. So I don't know if it's a problem with my power supply or what, but the only other thing that dawned on me was, like, does it have to be, like, not touching something to work? Like, I mean, I've been building computers a long time. And, like, I have, like, installed DVD drives before. Like, I've never had a problem like this where, like, this thing just, like, that's two distinct drives that just did not work. And I don't know what I was doing wrong. I had everything wired up correctly, and like the system could see it. Like Windows saw the drive, but I couldn't eject it, and it was weird.
Now, see, I'm going to go back to your original problem of not being able to rip them. I have never had a Blu-ray that I've not been able to rip, outside of like a couple that were clearly damaged. Even then, now what software are you using?
I'm using Make MKV.
Okay, that is also my tool of choice.
Yep.
And I've never had a problem.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's this. I mean, I'm assuming it's this particular drive, and like I've made sure that the firmware is updated. I've tried all the usual suspects about why that wouldn't read. So I don't know why I can't get these to go. The only other thing I was going to try was like just good old fashioned handbrake for the regular DVDs that I couldn't rip. Like maybe it was a Make MKV problem, but getting the required libraries that you need for... Oh, no, actually, no, I did try it. I did manage to finally compile the libraries that Handbrake needs to do that decoding, and it still didn't work. So I don't really know what I'm doing wrong and why these won't rip. I really desperately want to try a different DVD drive, but as my recent experiments have shown me, that just isn't in the cards.
Would you like to borrow my big chunky drive?
And that would be really nice of you, Paul.
Yeah, it's big, it's gross, it's loud, it's got an external power supply, and big old thick USB cables. But yeah, so, it's worked.
So this drive that I have does not have an external power supply. It just runs off of USB power, and it admirably performed through literally every other disc I have except like these four. So I don't know. I will definitely try it if you're willing to let me.
Yeah, I will definitely. I'll have to detach it here and yeah.
Yeah, throw that in your Tom bin bag.
There we go.
See if it fits.
it won't. Spoiler alert. with my laptop and my iPad, it
really?
won't. No. There is not a. I mean, I'd have to shove it in the same pocket as my laptop, and I'm a little hesitant to do that. I don't think there is another pocket that would hold it like this. It's big.
Yeah, he thick. He thick though.
Yeah, he's a chunky boy. Yeah. I definitely have to let you borrow it and see if that works better.
I want to try that.
Okay.
I want to try that because I honestly, honest to God, I feel like it's the drive, but I won't be able to prove it. And I just find it weird that it's just these four.
Yeah.
So that was like my big my big tragedy over the past couple weeks, was trying to figure out why me, who builds many computers, couldn't get a 5.25-inch DVD drive to work. And I will say that the Asus smelled like it was going to catch on fire. So clearly something was happening. Yeah, I don't know. because I got to the point where I was
weird.
like, well, maybe the drive's locked when it's new. Like maybe there's some lock in this thing that won't let it open. So I did the whole like safety pin into the little ejector port to get the tray to open. And I opened it and I distinctly smelled like ozone. So
that's not a good smell for electronics.
Yeah, the magic blue smoke got out. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
So what you're telling me is you really just ruined two perfectly good Blu-ray drives.
No, Paul, they were like that way when I got them. I don't know how I can be more clear about that.
How many times can you return a Blu-ray drive to Micro Center before they suspect something is wrong? Like, I think this is you.
Considering that, like, they have new registers because of me, I'm okay with it.
Okay, they have new registers because of you?
Well, as much money as I spent there, they have recently, I don't know when the last time you've been in, but they've recently remodeled. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, if you're not local to Columbus and you don't go to Micro Center, this radio sucks. But they just remodeled the front registers at Micro Center.
Oh, I've not been there that recently.
Yeah, so they went from 6 lanes to 9. And then, so like they're not the long like grocery store like counters like they used to have. They're just like these walk up, almost like standing desk type things. They look really good, and I'm sure that's my money that paid for those because I spend way too much money in Micro Center. Anyway, yeah. So that was my big like tragedy this past couple weeks. Yeah, I don't know. So I'll try your drive and I'll report back. So there's one other thing I want to talk about tonight, and it's DevOpsy, so I feel like we'll lose 3/4 of the audience. But so Paul, everything I know about DevOps I learned from you and Bestie Nick Dunn, and old coworker Jason Barnes, and a few other people. But I spend a lot of time doing DevOps type stuff these days. And, how much have you guys done at your job with doing like your build and deployment pipelines in Azure DevOps?
How much have we done? We probably have probably a couple hundred build pipelines, I think, at this point.
And those are in Azure DevOps, right?
Those are all in Azure DevOps. We don't do anything with releases in there. We have another tool for that, but all of our source control, all of our builds go through there. And we have. I mean, if it's not 200, it's close. Like it's at least more than 100. We have a lot.
Now, did you guys do the classic pipeline for those?
So when we started doing this, that was the only game in town. You could export and import JSON, but it was not you couldn't see it in the editor. You couldn't edit it directly. Because then the YAML pipelines came maybe about like 6 months ago, maybe even a little bit longer in one of the iterative updates they have. But in fact, we talked about this the other day. We have not switched over to them yet, and we're still continuing to use. Now, for the uninitiated, essentially, when Azure DevOps came out, it was a very kind of graphical user interface for designing your build pipelines, where you actually would take tasks and drag them and put them in order and set all of your variables and whatnot. And there was no way to edit it as a kind of a text format. It was a very GUI driven thing, and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Like I said, we have tons of them. They work great. They're easy to understand. But recently they switched and said, well, you can still do the classic stuff, but we also support YAML, which YAML is very popular in the DevOps space for reasons that escape me, because it's not my favorite markup language at all. But given the choice between, like, if I was starting from scratch, I would definitely use YAML.
So let's talk about the differences here, right? Because as you mentioned, like when Azure DevOps was new and fresh, there was this graphical interface where you could basically say, I need a build pipeline that runs on this agent that builds this software, and has, these packages deployed to it, and it would do all your builds and then publish the artifacts, which could then be picked up by, different, I think, we, at the time when I was working with you, we were using Octopus to handle all of the deployments.
Yep.
But basically the builds was just, compiling and getting all the artifacts ready to go out to the release, right? Yeah. So now basically what I have seen is that the future of builds and deployments in Azure DevOps are going to be handled with YAML.
Yep.
And here's my thing, right? And I struggle with this a little bit just because I don't understand how you would operationalize this, but bear with me here a second. So taking the release part out of it for a minute, just talking about the builds, is in your source, you basically also put a YAML file that describes your build process. Because usually in Azure DevOps, if you're using the classic pipelines, you do that outside of your source code. But this YAML file that you drop into the repository basically also contains the instructions you need to build the software.
Now, you don't have to, that was how it started. You no longer have to, if you don't want to put your YAML for your pipeline in your source repository, you don't have to.
You don't have to, but I see almost everybody do that.
Because when they first started, that was the only way you could do it. And the YAML right in the pipeline editor is a relatively new feature, I believe.
Right.
Yep.
So, Paul, you're a really seasoned DevOps person. So, what would be the biggest advantage for you guys to switching all this over?
Well, so again, if we were going to do it, I think we would go down the route of putting these pipeline files in the source repositories. Under the covers, I know that like the pipelines have some sort of source control because there's history and I can roll them back. But having them as a text file associated right with the source that you're building makes it part of your regular like app dev workflows. You can see all the source control, you can see the commits. It also kind of puts it more front and center to the developer, so they don't really have to think about like how the build works. It's always just a file that's right there in their solution. I also feel that having it as a text-based format, it just feels right because at the end of the day, it's source code, and especially with this big push and trend of the industry to do kind of like infrastructure as code, right? Where, you're using things like, Ansible and Puppet and like Terraform to provide your infrastructure. And that's all text-based format. Like that's kind of where the DevOps space is going, is that kind of stuff. So this feels like it's just, the right way to do it. Like, I'm not sure we're ever going to go back and have like a big concerted effort to, switch everything over to YAML. But at some point, we're probably going to make the decision that like, hey, when we have to make changes, we were playing around with it before in some of our existing pipelines, and it looks like you can export what you currently have as YAML. Unfortunately for us, you have to do that. We do lots of stuff with multi-agent builds for increased performance, and you have to do like each phase separately. But we can handle that.
Yeah, because all my time with Azure DevOps has been with the graphical stuff, and let's just say there's a push to try to do more in the YAML space. So I've been trying to wrap my head around it recently, and I was basically trying to build a YAML pipeline to just do some simple builds, aka just like copy some PowerShell code, like some PowerShell modules from my source to an on-premises agent. and I've got the agents working and they're all connected, and I just haven't been able to get the YAML part to work yet. But I'm working on it. I mean, that's like the next thing I'm trying to learn because I know how important it's going to be.
Yeah.
My thing is, though, like, in the graphical interface, right? Like, let's say you were doing your builds and your deployments all within Azure DevOps. I guess everybody just wants CI/CD, where like you just anytime you merge into master or whatever, merge into the master branch, that's just going to kick off a release. Like, there doesn't appear to be a way to do any kind of gating or anything that I've seen with the YAML stuff.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with the release pipelines, just outside of like just some basic curiosity. Because we use a different tool for that. My experience is using a different tool where we just do build pipelines. But I'd have to imagine there's some way to do it with a release pipeline. I just do not have the experience with those.
Well, I mean, it's essentially the same thing. I mean, you can have a YAML file for your build, and you can have a YAML file for your deployment, or you can just have one file that does the build and deployment, right? Yeah, like it just knows. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I haven't figured out how to like operationalize it in a way that I can understand yet. Like, that's like what I've been trying to figure out.
Well, I mean, how I started looking at it is, taking a build I do understand and looking at the YAML it generates and kind of doing a one-to-one mapping in my head of like, okay, I see how we do that stuff now, and how variables work, and how the task names work, and how like even like third-party tasks work, because those are I mean, it is a little bit more verbose, right? Because in the graphical editor, I can say add task, and I can do a nice search, and I can find, oh yeah, I need to archive a file. I mean, for the YAML stuff, I kind of have to look up the documentation and figure out what the full task name is. Especially with like third-party tasks or tasks from the marketplace, people that have things that come in like an extension or tasks that other people have made. I mean, it's a little harder because the discovery is not there, right? That's one of the nice things about the graphical interface is, I can just
you have to know what makes what.
You have to know. Yep, you do. Yeah, so I think the difficulty is a little higher on those. But I even do think at this point there are some features that you can only do with YAML, mostly around like the arcane syntax that controls whether, like, most of the time, when you're doing like a build pipeline, it literally just starts at the top and runs every task in order until it's finished. But you can put in these really weird arcane control statements to not conditionally run steps. And I do believe there are some new features and expressions that only work inside of the YAML and not in the graphical interface. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I was going to bring up next, because like all of the cool new features appear to be YAML only right now.
Yep, that's where it's going. Mm-hmm.
So that's like the writing on the wall, right? So I'm trying to do builds and things for that now.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good. I don't like YAML. I don't like it. I mean, it's fine. It's serviceable. I know how to write it now.
I'm a JSON guy. I really am.
I am too. It just something about the curly braces and like, using curly braces for objects and square brackets for arrays. Like, I find it much more readable. Where like, if you never written a YAML document, like I just put it in Google and check it out. Like, it's really confusing because it's very white space driven and some like weird control characters for like lists or arrays. And I just don't think it's as like, I'm not at the point yet where I can look at a YAML document and feel 100% confident that I understand the structure. And sometimes, like my biggest exposure to YAML recently has been using it to configure test kitchen environments for Chef. For Chef is the configuration manager, and Test Kitchen allows you to basically spin up VMs and test your configurations, and it's all YAML based. And sometimes I think I'm setting like properties correctly and everything's failing, and it's because I don't understand YAML enough and I just F something up. I didn't indent, excuse me, I did not indent, or I indented when I shouldn't have indented, and I missed a colon, or like, I know my brain gets JSON, doesn't get YAML yet.
I can read it. I've had to write a decent amount of it because of all the stuff I've been doing with Kubernetes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can also use JSON in Kubernetes too if I really wanted to.
I mean, I'd much rather write I'd rather write HashiCorp control language. I think that's HCL.
Wow.
Than YAML. Yeah, there it is. HCL HashiCorp configuration. I'd much rather write that than yeah. Then again, HCL looks a lot like JSON. Just, not quite.
Man, this one went to some weird places.
It did. It's yeah.
All right. We should get out while we still can.
I agree. All right, time Paul. To pull the escape hatch.
Yeah. All right, Paul, let's tell people where they can get in touch with us.
Yeah, you can find this spectacular podcast on the internet at doingtheirbest.com. You can send us those sweet, sweet emails at contact@doingtheirbest.com. You can find us on the Twitters at doing best pod. I almost messed that up. You can reach me personally on Twitter at Paul Baylor. That's BAHLER. Or if you just see me in person, you can just yell at me and tell me how dumb I am for not liking peanuts.
Wow, there's a callback. We're not going to let that one go.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Drew?
Yeah, people can find me on Twitter at PITTFURG, Pittsburgh. Paul, do we have anything in the hopper, like in terms of like listener submissions or anything?
No, we're pretty dry right now.
We're pretty dry right now? All right, we'll have to start inventing things. We need some controversy. We need people to start hating us, because I feel like that's how you get the most feedback.
Yeah, I mean, apparently I should just talk about Snoopy some more. That's
right? That'll get it. That'll get it. We should turn this into a conspiracy theory show.
Yeah. How do you feel about birds?
Well, they're not real. I don't know if you know that.
But there you go. I've recently learned this stuff, and I've seen the proof. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, I have too. They're just drones. They're spying on us. It's a surveillance state. Wake up, sheeple.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, Paul. It's been a pleasure as always. Hey, by the way, look for an invite here soon for some Thanksgiving era ish.
Yeah. Okay. Too. Yeah. Spectacular.
All right, everybody. Until next time.
Toodles.